I've got some news of my own. After much soul-searching, I've decided not to stand as an MP at the next general election. I love my constituents and I've loved serving them, and it's been such an honour for the best part of 2 decades of my life. However, given the poll ratings of the Conservative Party, we're now likely to go to the wire in January 2025. And that's the worst, weakest and least attractive position for any government to find itself in. There is no way on God's earth that those who plotted to depose Boris Johnson expected to be in the position we're in today. The Conservatives are polling worse now than in 1997, when they were thrashed by Labour. The elite, the faux political intellectuals, you know who I'm talking about, those who believe that they know better than anyone else, bet everything on a Rishi bounce. But it never came, and it was never going to. The party was 5 points behind on the day that Boris Johnson was ousted. And, you know, I've said this before, that is a poll deficit that would have burnt away like a summer's mist on a morning lawn in the heat of a general election campaign. Today, the party is 24 points behind. And that, my friends, could be described as terminal. It leaves the party boxed into a corner with no exit route. Those MPs who drank the Kool-Aid and got rid of Boris Johnson are already asking themselves the question, who next? And I'm afraid that the lack of cohesion, the infighting, and occasionally the sheer stupidity from those who think we could have removed a sitting Prime Minister who secured a higher percentage of the vote share than Tony Blair did in 1997, just 3 short years ago, that they could do that and the public would let us get away with it. I'm afraid it's this behaviour that I now have to just remove myself from. And so, despite it being a job that I've loved for every year that I've done it, I'm now off. My gosh, I just said it out loud. There's no going back now.
Wow.
So, guys, did you expect that?
Have you told the Chief Whip?
No, I haven't.
News desk, get onto the telephone.
You look emotional, Nadine.
I actually...
You're welling up.
Yeah, just saying it out loud. It's something I've only thought. And
I can understand why you're going, Nadine. I think it's a pity you're going. For 2 reasons. One, that we sketch writers need people like you to write about. But also because it seems to me you'd be better staying and fighting the battle from within. But...
Quentin,
and it's not my fight. But,
I get that, and I get that accusation. I also get the accusation, oh, you know, you're a bit like a rat leaving the sinking ship. The fact is, I think that today's Parliamentary party, when I look back, and you guys are around as well, when I look back to when I first became an MP, both, you know, and you might say, well, you know, they got rid of Margaret Thatcher, and they do. Regicide, I think, is now a DNA. But I think where we are now, when I look back at the type of MPs who were there then and where we are now and how the party's behaving now, I just don't see any way. Fight for what? Fight with who? People are only fighting each other in my party.
I think you're wrong about the possibility of the opinion polls changing. I'd have thought that it's still a long way out, and it's like trying to call an American presidential election from a year out is always a hazardous
A lot happens in that
occupation.
time. I mean,
oh my gosh,
just 16 months ago, people were talking about a 3-term Boris Johnson government in September 2021, and then it all unravelled very quickly with Partygate and there's lack of discipline. It's great. I mean, will you be joining the Lords? I mean, are you out of?
Do you know what? Everybody's
the question.
The only person who's heard nothing about this is me.
You've been tipped.
You guys all seem to know about this. I've heard nothing.
Would you want to come back as a peer?
Honestly, I don't know. I'm just getting through the emotional aspect of
Have you told your
leaving a job I've
association?
loved for 19 years.
Have you told the association yet?
Yes, yeah. I told my chairman this afternoon.
Yeah. And you're someone, I think, who has always got what being a Tory is, I think. In a way, you had to go at the posh boys. You know, you kicked against that, didn't you, with David Cameron, George Osborne. You're an amazingly successful novelist. You've done it all off your own back. You've got this huge scouse spirit in you, I think, which is really where the party should be going. Look at Lee Anderson. I think he's part of that kind of telling like it is.
The Red Wall.
The Red Wall.
So, yeah, I was a bit of an oddity when I arrived. I used to talk like that.
Yeah.
And when I talk like that, MPs just look at me and go, where's she from?
Yeah.
You're the Green Wall tonight.
I'm a Green Wall tonight, yeah.
They will massively regret, they still do, dropping Boris Johnson. That was, for me, an offence against democracy. You can't really... And nowadays, I know you elect MPs who elect their own leader, so you're not electing a leader in an election, but I think there's a feeling there that you really are electing a leader who stays in post throughout the 5-year term, I think. And that's the mistake. And they've got this Boris-shaped hole who will keep trying to do his stuff on the sidelines.
And, you know, I totally get what you say about it being, Quentin, both of you, a long way to the next general election. A lot happens, goodness me, in a week. We've got, 2 years to go. But we will never be able to undo the harm that we've done and the wrong that we did. And yes, the people don't love Starmer in the way that, say, 97, they love Tony Blair. But that doesn't mean that we're going to be able to completely reverse this and go all the way back to being where we were 3 years ago, which was an 80-seat majority, a bigger percentage of the vote share than Tony Blair got in 97. I don't think we're ever going to get back to that, and I think we blew it. The day we got rid of our election winner, we blew it. And, yeah.
Have you told Boris Johnson you're off?
Yeah, he knows.
Well, what did he say?
He doesn't want me to go. So he said exactly what you said. Nad, stay.
Yeah.
But no, it's time to go. You know when it's time to go. Anyway.
But do you think it was worth it being an MP? Do you feel that you got some reward out of it?
So, yeah, when you're an MP, the reward you get is not what you guys see. It's not on the floor of the House of Commons. It's not the stuff you report. It's what happens on a Friday in your constituency surgery when you can actually make huge difference to the lives and the outcomes of individuals and the problems that they have and the situations that they're dealing with. That, every Friday, the part of my job I've loved most is my surgeries on a Friday.
How do you want to be remembered?
She's not dead.
As an MP? No, as you draw... Not dead. As you draw a curtain across your time as MP, what would people say about
Well, I
Nadine
know
Dorries
how
MP?
I'll be remembered. I know I'll be remembered as the MP who called David Cameron and George Osborne a pair of posh boys, the price of milk. That's what I'll probably be remembered for. But I'd like to be remembered for having been Secretary of State for DCMS and the huge amount we've got achieved in those 12 months.
Well, Nadine, Christopher and I suspected that you might be saying something like this. So we had a whip around, and a couple of the backstage people too, and they came up with a present for you. So here you are. It says you're a winner, which is not normally given to people who've been kicked out of the cabinet. But there you are.
I was not kicked out of the cabinet. I did not take the re-promotion.
But there you are. Show the ladies and gentlemen.
And that's because...
It's like a blankety-blank checkbook and pen.
I think I've been given this. I think what I might be remembered for is probably being the biggest pain in the backside of most of the leaders and prime ministers of the Conservative Party.